Welcome to the Las Vegas Strip, the home of no fewer than 1,372 Elvis impersonators. Alongside one of them, Tyler Fulgham. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This is Bet NHL opening night. Tonight, who better to talk to than the best head of hair in hockey, Barry Melrose. He's coming up in just a moment. The latest with James Harden and the Rockets. We'll talk to Brian Windhorst. That's been a delightful story so far this season. And since it's Wednesday, DFFS, which is the Daily Fortenbaugh Fulgham Showdown, hammered me 2 weeks ago. I look for revenge today. How you feeling?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's not bad at all. If you're looking for more sports betting content, be sure to check us out on YouTube. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. It is where we are migrating a lot of good stuff outside of this show, clips from Daily Wager, stuff that doesn't air anywhere else but that channel. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Here we go. Yep. Wednesday, we always begin with a little game called Let It Ride or Cash Out. I will give you a statement. You will ride with that statement or you will cash out on that statement. Simple enough, right?
I got it.
All right, here we go. Number one. In the wild card round, we saw the Cleveland Browns and the Los Angeles Rams score a defensive touchdown. Let it ride or cash out. We will see at least one defensive score in the divisional round this weekend.
I am going to let it ride, baby. Let it ride.
Triple circle.
Let it ride. Looking specifically at the game, I'm going to have my eyes pinned to the most, the Packers and the Rams. Think about the Rams, who have scored a defensive touchdown in 5 of their last 7 games played. Now, obviously, that's difficult against someone like Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't turn the ball over. But this Rams defense is elite. They have Jalen Ramsey. They have Aaron Donald. However, on the other side, they could be bringing in Jared Goff to play in Lambeau Field at sub-freezing temperatures, less than 3 weeks removed from having 3 pins put into his thumb. Or they could have John Wolford making basically a second career NFL start at Lambeau Field, sub-32-degree temperatures in a divisional round game. So
suboptimal.
Suboptimal for the Rams offense, who has been prone to turning it over.
Yeah.
And then their defense is so good. Just looking at that game alone, I think there's a decent chance. Then you just add the randomness of the other 3 games. Who knows if Josh Allen tries something crazy? Because Josh Allen's being crazy right now.
We saw him in Houston.
Mostly working out for him, though, as he's becoming the maniac, the roller coaster. Baker Mayfield. Can he turn the ball over against the Chiefs if they're in chase mode? Yes. So I'm going to say let it ride. There'll be a defensive score in the divisional round.
Now, you get a pick 6, a fumble return, or a safety as well. You focused on the touchdowns, but he does have safeties as well. I will oppose you on this one. I'm cashing it out. We only had 24 safeties in the entire regular season. That's 9% of games. We only had 31 interceptions returned for touchdowns. That's 12% of games. And 21 fumble returns for touchdowns. That is 8% of games. So I will be cashing out in this situation. The bottom line here is that a defensive score, safety, pick 6, fumble return, happens in less than a third of the games. And we have some of the smartest quarterbacks with the football in their hands playing this weekend. Rodgers, Brady's, Breeze, Mahomes. Although the other 4 you mentioned, not as great with the ball in their hands.
Sounds like
good start. Good start. Let it ride or cash out. Number 2, the Rams, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Buccaneers are your 4 underdogs entering the divisional round. So let it ride or cash out. 2 dogs. 2 dogs will win outright this weekend.
Let's mix it up here, baby. I'm going to let it ride with green, though, this time. 2 of the 4 games that you mentioned there, Joe, the spread is a field goal or less. And when we get to this point in the season, the teams are basically the same. They're all good. It's good on good. And we have 2 that are a field goal or less. And I go back to something we've been talking about since before the first game of the NFL season kicked off. Road teams, and every road team is a dog, by the way. Every home team is a favorite this week. Road teams don't have to deal with fan bases. So those quarterbacks going into the Voodoo Dome, those quarterbacks going to Lambeau Field, they don't have to deal with the Saints defense and their fans. They have to deal with the elements of Green Bay in January and the fans. They just have to deal with one of those things. So I'm going to say that, yeah, we're going to have some underdogs at least cover, if not win outright, in the divisional round.
2 is a tall order, and I'm just realizing now as I pick this pen up, I didn't even bother.
You didn't do it
I didn't even bother with the technology last time. The words were so important, at least in my mind, I couldn't even be bothered with this. So I'm going to cash out on the last one. I'm going to cash out on this one.
Oh, double
I
whammy.
might cash out on the next one.
Wow.
I might just do this until the end of the show.
Is this Inception?
To demonstrate the solar system to the children out there who are trying to understand what it is they're seeing. The Chiefs and Packers are winning this weekend. That's how I see it.
Okay.
So if we are going to get 2 underdogs to win outright, that means Baltimore has to do it against Buffalo. They're a 2.5-point underdog. And that means the Buccaneers have to do it at New Orleans. They're a 3-point underdog. 2 of those winning outright could happen. 1 of them winning outright probably will. Neither, also a possibility. I don't see both happening. I don't see both. I'm going to cash out on that. I think 1 of 2. If this were 1.5, that'd be a great line. Let it ride or cash out. Number 3. Welcome back, NHL.
Ooh.
The NHL 5 games tonight will see at least 1 hat trick. It might be fun.
You know, you're cashing out on everything. I'm going to let it ride on everything, all right? Why not? Scoring seems to, okay, when we look at the NBA, okay, they're out of the bubble, and now they're traveling, but no fans. It's almost like a sterile practice environment, right? That's what we seem to be seeing in NBA games. So scoring is up, and blowouts are up. We're seeing teams win by 30, 40 points each and every night. We're not seeing tight games. So I think we're going to see at least 1 or 2 blowouts where a team wins 5, 6, 7-1. And if that is the case, we'll get at least 1 player throwing hats on the ice with a hat. Well, I guess no one's going to do that since there's no fans. maybe their teammates can throw gloves on the ice.
It could be like the Nickelodeon broadcast with the slime.
There we
You could
go.
just have the fake hats coming in from everywhere.
There we go. But I'm going to let it ride. Let's have some fun.
I am glad you are willing to have some fun. I'm the party pooper here all the way across the board, cashing out. It's a math play. It's a math play here. We only have 5 games tonight, which means we only have 10 teams in action. There were only 77 hat tricks all of last year. If you go back over the last 10 seasons, and yes, I had nothing going on last night, so I did the math on this. 63.9 hat tricks per season over the last 10 seasons. That's about 5% of games. 5%. So from a math perspective, yeah, you're right. You're right. But if it ends up being right here,
there we go.
I'll side with
All right,
it. I am cashing out.
Hat trick. I will make sure to write that down. Remember, that was a New Year's resolution. We have these bets.
Yeah. I noticed you've been writing them down. We haven't actually been going back and keeping score of them.
Well, the first one I wrote down was Bucks Saints, and that game hasn't been played yet. So I don't know if I did necessarily a good job on Monday of writing down everything I needed to.
All right. You can listen to us talk about hockey, but you probably think, what do these two know about hockey? Or you can talk about it with one of the best in the business, ESPN NHL analyst, the great Barry Melrose, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Barry, we appreciate the time. Let's start with this. We right now, Tyler and I, are a driver and a 7-iron down the street from where the Golden Knights play their hockey. They were the favorites to win the Western Conference when the odds first came out, but now the Colorado Avalanche have become the favorites to win the Western Conference. Tell us, what makes Colorado so deadly this year?
They've gotten better every year since they moved in. They've got star quality players. I think McKinnon maybe is the best player in the world right now. They got a great defense. They're bringing young guys in. They had a ton of guys at the World Junior that are going to be superstars for Colorado. They got a great coach. They play today's style. They're big, they're fast, they're aggressive. They stick their nose in. It's not a perimeter game when Colorado plays you. All those things gives me the reason to believe that I like Colorado. I like the way they play. I like their offensive game. I like their defensive game. Grubauer is a good goaltender, not a great goaltender, but he's a good goaltender, and really that's all you have to do with a team like Colorado, because they're going to score you a ton of goals. So I think Colorado's favorite. I know Vegas is good. They're a very good team. They got a great deal in defense, getting the guy from St. Louis over there. But I just think Colorado's a little bit deeper, a little bit better.
All right, Barry, if the markets say Colorado is the favorite to win the Stanley Cup, who in your estimation, or what teams in your estimation, are good dark horses, good teams that could provide value for bettors who don't want to necessarily look at the favorite?
Well, I know you guys don't want to get a job, so you want to keep gambling, right? So you're looking for money on the side. And I think a good pick for you, if you're just trying to, that isn't a favorite. They're a good team. You're not going to have any surprises. It's going to be a good team to win the cup. But I like Carolina. I like this team a lot. They've done well in the playoffs. It's not that long ago since they won the Stanley Cup, so they have some identity with it in Carolina. Brendan Moore has been fantastic as a coach. They got good goaltending. Again, 2 good goaltenders. You don't need one good one and one terrible one. You got 2 good goaltenders if one gets hurt. Very good defense led by Jacob Slavin, by Dougie Hamilton. You got Sebastian Aho, great. They got so many unknown players and unknown skilled guys coming from Finland, coming from Sweden. They got a real deep team, Teravainen. So I think this is a team that, again, you're not going to get rich picking them, I know, because they're not a surprise. They're going to be tough to play, but they are maybe sneaking under the radar a bit.
All right, Barry, that's the long-term investment. Let's do a little day trading. 5 games on the schedule for tonight. If you were to pick an underdog in one of those 5 games, who do you think it would be?
To me, it would be Montreal. And again, Montreal, Toronto, they hate each other. They've hated each other for 100 years. Montreal was a team that was supposed to be on the rebuild, but last year's playoffs, they got in the playoffs. They made the playoffs, one of the last teams. They had a great playoff run. You got Carey Price, the goaltender, as good as there is in the world. Carey Price could easily play 56 games, and if he gets on a roll, he might play 56 games this year. But they got some great young forwards, 19, 20, 21 years old. This Montreal team is going to be a surprising team. So that's why I like this team a lot. I like what they've done. They've changed drastically. They've become much tougher to play against, much bigger, much more physical than a team maybe last year. So I like what they've done, and they're going to be a tough team to play against. And Toronto's been an underachieving team in the playoffs for most of the careers of just about everybody on that team.
Well, you're talking about 2 Canadian franchises, 2 of the biggest, 2 staples there for our friends north of the border. And we know, Barry, that you are a proud son of our friends north of the border. It's been 27 years since 1993 when Montreal lifted Lord Stanley's Cup, keyed by Patrick Waugh and net, since a Canadian team has finished the season with a win. If you had to pin your hopes on one of these Canadian franchises to erase that streak and lift Lord Stanley's Cup at the end of this season, what Canadian team would you be betting on?
Well, first off, I can't cheer for Montreal because I was a coach in the LA Kings who got beat by Montreal that year. So I've sort of forgotten all those things. I like, for a surprise team coming out of the Canadian division, I like Calgary. I like their grit. 2 good goaltenders, as I mentioned. You've got some big forwards, some big gritty forwards. Diargiano is the captain, great player. You've got Jonathan. Mr. Hockey, he had an okay year. Johnny Gaudreau, an okay year, but nothing special, not good enough for him. And I think if he gets back to what he used to do, Monahan starts scoring again. You got all the other guys on that team, their defensive capabilities, their goaltending. They're going to be a tough team to play against, and they can get hot for 56, 57 games and play some really good hockey. So I like the Calgary Flames coming out of that North Canadian division.
Barry, I'm not Canadian, but I was wondering if Tyler and I wanted to say Calgary rather than Calgary, would that be okay? Would Canadians frown upon that?
No, Canadians are like everybody. They even like you guys. You don't have a problem with that, Paul. You can say whatever you want.
I was going to say, Barry, I had a buddy in first grade named Cal Gary. He was a menace, always in detention. But I actually like pronouncing. I like pronouncing it that way. I do it on air. I'm not joking. I got admonished for it at my old network. They say Calgary. I was like, no, Barry Melrose, our favorite Canadian on ESPN, says Calgary. That's how I'm going to say it, damn it.
I love that.
If you're going to say something, say it right.
Say it with your
chest.
chest.
How do you say Regina? That's how you say Calgary. How do you say Regina?
If you're looking for more from the great Barry Melrose, new show on ESPN+, it's called In the Crease. He's the best for a reason. Barry, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the season.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be back.
All right. It's Wednesday. We debuted this segment a couple weeks ago, and then we were off last Wednesday, so we're bringing it back. It's called DFFS.
I like that.
To yourself, DFS, DFFS. What's the deal? DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. DFFS is?
Daily Fortinbaugh and Fulgham Showdown. Oh, that's football. I need the John Tesh NBA one.
It's only the second time we've done it. It's okay. You're processing the Calgary. Your mind is...
I'm telling you, I wonder what Calgary's up to these days.
Regina, Calgary. It's like, this is going to be a rough night for me. All right. Here we go. You beat me last week, so you are going to have the honors here. Why don't you go ahead and lay out your team for us tonight?
All right. We had to, navigate through some games that got postponed and canceled. A lot of guys missing action tonight. Luka Doncic, where I start. Good reason. The Mavs extremely shorthanded, so even more offense going to filter through Luka against the Hornets. CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard is probably going to play, but his ankle is a little cumbersome. Great matchup against the Kings, who've been awful defensively. Taurean Prince in that starting lineup with no Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant with no Kyrie Irving. He is the focal point of that offense. Isaiah Roby, no Al Horford tonight against the Lakers, so Roby going to get a lot of minutes, just $100 more than the minimum price at $3,100. And even in a blowout, he's a young guy. He'll be getting run in the fourth quarter if the Lakers are up 25, 30 points. LaMelo Ball.
Take me through this one. He's been getting more minutes, so the price is going up.
The price is going up, but the production is going up. He had a triple-double a couple games ago. James Johnson again, that shorthanded Mavericks team, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, $3,100. No Zion Williamson, no Lonzo Ball for the Pelicans. They're going to be shorthanded as well.
All right, let's take a look at what old Joey Fortenbaugh is going to be breaking out tonight. We have a couple in common. Nickeil Alexander-Walker and James Johnson. We're both playing values there. I'm also going to have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading my team tonight. The money is going to be consecrated on Brandon Ingram. No Zion Williamson tonight. Brandon's been having a huge season. And we're also going to take a real good long look at Damian Lillard tonight, playing against that Sacramento defense that has had a lot of struggles. Now, we're rushing through it a bit because we do have breaking news out of the National Basketball Association. Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA analyst, kind enough to join us here regarding the future of one James Harden. Harden has been traded to the Brooklyn Nets, so let's get right to the bottom of this. Brian, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We had an idea of what we wanted to talk about, but we got breaking news right here. Take us through the details on what's happening. Obviously, Harden last night with the post-game comments about how the situation in Houston had gotten to a point where it couldn't be salvaged. What do you know and what's happening in the NBA?
Yeah, if you got the Nets getting, if you got the Knicks giving, the Knicks getting 5.5 points tonight against the Nets, you should like that. And you should try to get it before the books change it, because the Nets have just made a major trade to acquire James Harden. This is a chips all into the center trade for the Nets over the last 5 to 7 hours. Philadelphia and the Nets have been going back and forth with Houston. The deal is done. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting it with Ramona Shelburne. It's a three-way trade with the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are adding assets to the deal. The most important things you need to know are that 4 first-round picks, apparently 3 of them from Brooklyn, 1 of them from Cleveland, going to Houston, and 4 pick swaps. This is one of the largest draft trades in NBA history. It rivals the trade of Paul George to the Clippers 2 years ago, which also included getting them Kawhi Leonard. But James Harden will get what he wants. He will be a Net. Jared Allen and a couple of other minor players are going to go out. And 4 first-round picks, one of them coming from Cleveland, with Jared Allen ending up in Cleveland. This is the definition of a blockbuster trade. What's really stunning about this, to me, is that Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden all can opt out of their contracts after next season, and yet the Nets have traded away essentially full control of their draft for the next 7 years. So they are basically trying to win a championship this year and next, and hoping those guys will stay.
Well, Woj, we're still trying to process this here, all the names that are involved, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, Wendy, and Ramona Shelburne. It's James Harden, a 3-way deal that includes the Cavs, like you mentioned, Karis LeVert, Dante Exum, Rodions Kurucs, 4 first-rounders, Cavs 2022 first-rounder via the Bucks.
LeVert has been playing great.
Taurean Prince, Jared Allen, they're going to the Cavs. LeVert looks like going to be the principal piece going to the Rockets along with all those draft picks. So time to kind of let that wash over you and figure out what's going to happen with this Nets team. What fascinates me the most is how the 3 now cohabitate and live together, because we've already seen Kyrie Irving kind of, for whatever reason, personal reasons, he has left the team. When is he coming back? We know Kyrie can be a mercurial, enigmatic person to deal with. What, Wendy, do you think it's going to take to have these 3 coalesce and be the best version of themselves with the Nets?
Yeah, this is going to be an incredible challenge to get them to share the ball, but I'm more worried about them defensively. They were already one of the more suspect defensive teams in the league. And of course, now they're offensively awesome, but they already were offensively awesome. They already had Durant and Kyrie when he was around. They already had great shooting. They already had good depth. This just sort of loads up on even more offense and makes them even more suspect defensively, because Jared Allen was their starting center. He had just moved into the starting lineup and was racking up double-doubles. And so this affects them defensively. He was a basket defender. Really, this is a gamble on stars. This is the belief that star players in the NBA will ultimately carry you, and that, getting Harden, a guy who can, in a playoff setting, having Kyrie, Harden, and Durant on the same roster at the same time, I don't know if that's a stoppable group. I mean, they could end up playing playoff games where they just flat out say, we're going to score 135 points tonight, and you're not going to be able to score 136 on us. That seems to be the way they're going to go. They're going to be efficient. They're going to be powerful. It is the definition of a blockbuster move. The feeling in the league was that the Nets really didn't have the ammunition to get this done. And if you look at what the Rockets are getting, what they're wagering on, frankly, is that the Nets fall apart in the future. They are hoping that what happened to the Nets the last time they did a big deal where they all of a sudden went into the tank when those guys got old and left, that's what they're wagering on. They know what these draft picks that they're going to get in 2021 or 23 or 24, 22 or 24 aren't going to be the best. But my gosh, what happens if this falls apart in 25, 26, and 27? That's what ultimately Houston went for. They bet long on this. They shorted the Nets' future, but the Nets' immediate future looks pretty strong.
All right, so Brian, speaking of the Nets' immediate future, Harden's going to be joining them. Durant's already there, as is Kyrie Irving, who's been away from the team for the last few games. Any indication as to when he will rejoin the roster and start playing basketball again?
It is not up to the Brooklyn Nets anymore because Kyrie Irving is under investigation to the NBA for violating health and safety protocols. And if they indeed find that he did that by hosting this birthday party, this family birthday party, he could be facing a quarantine of a week. He could be facing suspension. He could be facing fines. It would then be up to the NBA about when he could return. But ultimately, you need a bought-in Kyrie Irving. You don't need him bought in January. You need him bought in May, June, and July this year. And this move was made for May, June, and July 2021 and May, June, and July 2022. The Nets are swinging for the fences the next 2 years, and they believe that ultimately when it matters, Kyrie will be there. We'll see if that's a smart bet.
Well, Wendy, I may be actually breaking some news to you since you've been kind enough to grace us with your presence here. You haven't been around your phone. There's actually another layer to this deal now. The Rockets have flipped Karis LeVert to the Indiana Pacers for Victor Oladipo. So that's now an element of this trade. Your just initial reaction to hearing that Oladipo and LeVert are now flipping, what that does for both the Rockets in the Western Conference and Indy, if that makes them better.
Yeah, that's why I didn't mention LeVert when we were first talking about it. I didn't think he was going to end up in Houston. I thought he was going to get traded for a first-round draft pick. That's what they were looking for, was a first-round pick. They end up getting Victor Oladipo, who has looked better but has not returned to all-star form. This is a bit of a strange move because this would imply that the Rockets are sort of still focusing on this season. The interesting thing about the Rockets and why they would try to focus on this season and still make the playoffs is they don't have control of their draft pick. Their draft pick can be swapped by the Oklahoma City Thunder with the Miami Heat's pick. I know that gets complicated, but they are incentivized, unless they're going to get into the bottom four and have a top four pick, they are incentivized to make the playoffs this year because they probably will not be able to keep their lottery pick. So by trading for Victor Oladipo, having John Wall, having Christian Wood, who's been good for them, I think their intention is to continue to compete and try to make the playoffs. Now, Oladipo is in the last year of his contract. Houston would have the option to extend his contract, or they could just ride him out and hope playing in a contract year he produces at a high level.
Great stuff. ESPN NBA insider analyst Brian Windhorst, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Brian, we know you're very busy today. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, so let's recap it.
I need a cigarette.
Breaking news out of the NBA. You need a cigarette. You just start lighting them up like Frank and
what is going on here? You seen that Jim Halpert GIF, the meme?
Yeah.
What's going on here? That is, this is all happening so fast. I can't keep track.
James Harden has been traded from the Rockets to the Brooklyn Nets. It's a 3-team deal that also involves the Cleveland Cavaliers. Karis LeVert was a piece from Brooklyn who went to Houston in the deal. He was then flipped to Indiana in exchange for Victor Oladipo, which is a nice move for Houston. Houston's picking up 4 first-round draft picks. They're also picking up a series of pick swaps. I think the most interesting note of the entire thing Windhorst told us was Durant, Irving, and Harden, none of them would be under contract after next season. Right. So this is a 1.5-year experiment, and then you have to hope something pays out in the next this season or next season, or they're all likely gone.
And I don't see that. I do not think the Brooklyn Nets are a better team adding James Harden and removing Jarrett Allen, removing Karis LeVert. I do not think they're a better team right now, or they've gotten any closer to competing with especially the Lakers, who are the champions, and then looking in that very same conference, like the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics. These are really good teams. Indiana now is a dangerous team now. Adding someone like LeVert to Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis, how good they have been and the pace that they're playing at. Like, I understand you want stars, but you have to have some level of help. And this is such a top-heavy organization now, a top-heavy roster, and it's not like it's top-heavy with guys who have traditionally made others around them better. It's guys that have needed help. And Kevin Durant doesn't need help, but he went, to Golden State, and Kyrie Irving playing alongside LeBron has helped him. James Harden hasn't won anything in his career, and he played alongside Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook at a time. So if I'm a Nets fan, I'm obviously excited, but from a step-back pragmatic point, a lot has to break their way for them to win this championship in the next 2 years, I believe.
Hard to grade how Houston comes out on this because they haven't made any of the draft picks yet, but you've got 4 draft picks, and let's face it, not only was the Harden situation a problem, but were you going to beat the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis there the next couple of years? So why not build for the future in the post-Laker era, the post-LeBron era in the Western Conference? Saturday, divisional round matchups. Let's give the people some picks. By the way, if you want more analysis from a betting perspective on this trade, check us out on Daily Wager with Doug Kazarian later today. 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be on set right next door. All right. The Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens on Saturday. That's the Saturday night game. The line is now up to Buffalo minus 2.5. It was 2, total of 50. Which way are you going?
I'm leaning right now. Still some time to examine things, do some research. My lean right now is to take the points with the Ravens. Again, they're my preseason Super Bowl pick. Everyone knows that. I'm also leaning over the point total here. The game script I'm kind of developing in my head is Baltimore gets out to a lead. Lamar finally doesn't have to play a game where he's chasing. We know he's not better, but they get out to a lead on the strength of that Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins run game against a Buffalo defense that was 26th in the NFL this year in yards per carry allowed. They just ran for $163. The Colts did against this Buffalo defense behind Jonathan Taylor. So a Ravens team that's averaging better than 260 rushing yards and better than 6.5 yards per carry on their 6-game winning streak, regular season and postseason. I like the Ravens. I like a lot of points.
As you know, and some of the listeners might know, I married into Bills Mafia. So what I'm going to be doing for this game is debuting a new bet. Okay? You've heard of the emotional hedge. Right. The emotional hedge is when someone like Tyler, who's a Rams fan, bets against the Rams so that he either A, makes money if his team loses, or he loses money but his team wins. Win-win. I'm debuting what's known as the marital hedge. Oh. The marital hedge. Happy wife, happy life, as they say. I'm going to bet the Ravens. If the Bills win this game, then you have a situation in which my wife is very happy.
Wife is happy. And Joe's happy then.
And I'm happy too. By proxy, I'm happy. If, however, the Bills lose this game and my wife is upset, and by proxy I am upset, I'll at least have a couple extra bucks in the pocket.
You can buy her something nice. Buy her a nice little gift.
Some marital
Bills
hedge.
earrings. Some Bills Mafia earrings.
You heard it here first.
I like that.
Give me something on Green Bay and your beloved Rams. Packers minus 6.5, total 45.5.
Well, you just mentioned a term called an emotional hedge. I will lay the 6.5 with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. He is the only quarterback in the NFC that gives me chills, that scares me against my defense. I think the Rams defense is the best in the National Football League, but I think even Russell Wilson is on a different level than Aaron Rodgers is right now. Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFC, the only one I think can go throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. He's a bad man. The cold temps for whoever's playing quarterback for the Rams is an issue as well. So I'll lay the wood with the Packers, and I'll go under 45.5.
I am with you in that situation. I'm going to lay the points as well. I think the situation sets up so great for Green Bay. You've had 2 weeks to get ready for this game. You're at home, and you've got the weather on your side, that cold weather. Look at the Rams. A lot of people haven't paid attention to this. Look at the last 4 weeks. They were at Seattle in a game that was for the division. Then they hosted Arizona, which was pretty much win and get into the playoffs because you weren't sure what was going to happen with the Bears. Then you go to Seattle for the wild card game. Now you're going to Green Bay for the divisional round game. That's a lot on the plate. Plus, they're dinged up. And note this, the Rams have only scored 6 points in the first quarter over the last 4 games. They're breaking slow from the gate. As a result, I will take the Green Bay Packers. I think they jump on them early and make life difficult. But put some money on the Packers, then you end up coming away with a little something.
Bada bing, bada boom.
All right, listen. Thank you for joining us today. Breaking news again.
Wendy was great.
James Harden has been traded from the Houston Rockets to the Brooklyn Nets. It's a massive deal. We're going to be breaking it down a little bit further in a little while. ESPN2, 6 p.m. Eastern, Daily Wager. Doug Kazarian, Tyler, Preston, myself will all be talking about it. We're back tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.